please rise for a salute to the flag and then remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like you all to remain standing to remember John Thiebaud, a past detective recently passed away, 40 years of service, as well as the Ukraine conflict and the lost lives of innocent children and families. Okay, please be seated. Thank you. Okay. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing notice in the Asbury Park Press on Saturday, January 8th, 2022, the Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Monday, January 31st, 2022, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices and filing same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Town Council on Monday, January 3rd, 2022. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. Roll call, please.
Councilman Sikosi.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Lamb.
Here.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Council Vice President Latano.
Here.
Council President Gagan.
Here.
Item 5 is the minutes from February 23rd, 2022 regular meeting.
Move the minutes.
Motion was made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi.
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Item 6, honoring resolutions and presentations. We have Meals on Wheels, March for Meals, and the 50th anniversary of the Older Americans Act nutrition program.
Move the honorings and resolutions.
Second.
Motion made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi.
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes. So, Heather, on behalf of the Toms River Mayor and Council, we'd like to offer you this proclamation for the 50 years of service. Meals on Wheels in Ocean County provides meals, community cafe, on-site meals, and social support services to seniors age 60 and older throughout the county. Since 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic did not slow the need for home-delivered meals, as shown by the following numbers. They prepared and delivered nearly 240,000 meals to 1,600 Ocean County seniors. Your outreach services, more than 1,000 seniors, and your drivers have traveled around the globe 11 times each year delivering these meals. That's a lot. That's quite a yes, it is, especially today's prices. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well received. Let me move this. Fantastic job. Thank you.
Item 7 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition, either by purchase or eminent domain, of real property known as 1944 Whitesville Road, Riverwood Drive, 133 Riverwood Drive, and 2045 Whitesville Road on the official tax map of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey. This is a final reading.
This is the final reading. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this?
Seeing none, I motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Move the ordinance on final.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Lotano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinless?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick? Councilman Roderick?
Yes, we'll continue with the roll call. I don't know if he dropped off.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 8 is ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 325-3 green fees of Chapter 325 golf courses of the Township Code. This is a final reading.
Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close.
Seeing none, I motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Lotano. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Council Vice President Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
No.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick? Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Yes. I'm voting. Are we voting? Because I lost you guys.
We're voting on item 8, the ordinance.
Item 8.
8.
Well, I would like to enter a vote of yes for item 7. And if that's possible, I don't know what happened, but I was unable to hear what was going on. And if we're voting on number 8, as in 788, I'm voting no for 8.
Very good. We'll accept your yes vote for item 7 and no on item 8. Item 9.
Yes.
Item 9, ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing various sections of Chapter 383 Parks of the Township Code to amend certain fees for the Winding River Park ice skating rink facilities. This is a final reading.
This final reading. Does any member of the public wish to be heard?
Seeing none, I motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion move item 9.
Second.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Lotano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
No.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
No.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 10, ordinance, bond ordinance, providing for various capital improvements and the acquisition of various capital equipment, appropriating $12,320,500, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $11,732,000 bonds and notes to finance a portion of the costs thereof, authorized in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey. This is a first reading.
Council, your pleasure.
Well,
No, that. Okay.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Lotano. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Council Vice President Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I'd like to abstain.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Abstain.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 11 is an ordinance, bond ordinance providing for the design, construction, and erection of radio towers and the acquisition of equipment in connection therewith, appropriating $13,200,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $12,570,000 bonds and notes to finance a portion of the costs thereof, authorized in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey. This is a first reading.
Before we accept a motion to vote on this, I'm going to ask our engineer and police chief just to come up and give a brief history on what led us to this point, if you would, please. I mean, we understand it, but so the public knows where we're at.
Bob will be my technical backup. So basically, we've been looking at a new radio system and equipment since about 2008, when we first started talking about this. We saw that the system was failing. We had dead spots all over town, and we've been basically putting Band-Aids on it all these years. We got to the point where we found equipment from 1985 that was actually starting to repair our equipment in the communication room and throughout the town. So since then, we have had to resort to actually going on eBay to find some equipment that is actually obsolete that we can't even get anymore. Unfortunately, I wish we didn't have to, but unfortunately now we have to upgrade the system. We want to match the rest of the county, which is going to be 700 megahertz. We would go to 700 megahertz, and then also the state police. So we would have interoperability with all these different agencies, and then surrounding agencies as well. So.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kelly, do you want to weigh in a little bit on the towers and, briefly, the infrastructure?
One of the, in addition to what the chief said, one of the things that this radio project will also do, in addition to complying with the FCC mandate for the frequency changes to provide better coverage, the chief knows, you transmit from the police department, car transceivers, and then the handhelds that they carry are some of the weakest transmitters. So sometimes when you go in a commercial building, they don't always work. This plan is going to strategically locate some towers. We're going to reuse the one. We're going to reconstruct one at the police department. We're going to reuse one at Public Works. We're able to jump on to a tower that the state has for the DOT at 37, but it also involves the construction of 2 new towers. The old animal shelter property that the township already owns, and a piece of property on Fisher Boulevard near the firehouse. That will give what's, in radio terms, we call a hub and spoke type design, where even if one link to an outer antenna goes down, it can connect, so you always have redundancy and backup. We hope to have better coverage inside of all of our buildings, because another aspect of this that I've actually recently become aware of is if you build a new building, and the worst case, quite frankly, is the new bank, they don't have coverage in the building. So that property owner, business owner, has to put a repeater system at his cost in the building right now. And that particular structure was over $300,000. So we're seeing our business owners having to deal with this more and more. With this new system, however, if we have better coverage, it would help negate, first off, get better coverage in the buildings and take that burden off a lot of our business owners in some of the more metal type commercial buildings. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Any member of the council have any questions tonight?
I do. I don't understand if we're talking about, you're talking about operability that we could share between the state police and the county sheriffs. As we explored talking to them, those agencies about possibly partnering with their towers. I mean, Ocean County Sheriff on Chestnut, or
Yeah.
have you spoken?
Unfortunately, we've explored everything, and even when the new council came in last year, 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
They actually did their own investigation and found the same results that we had, that the county was not able to take us on. We would also have to build this same infrastructure in order for them to work. So we'd end up paying for this anyway, just to have them support us. So we're
It'd be
spending
another,
the money.
it'd be another Band-Aid. Is that what you're saying too? It'd be like
Correct.
a Band-Aid on top of a
Correct.
Band-Aid?
And the fact that they actually could not handle our call volume as well, on top of what they already
Gotcha.
have.
Thank
So, and then the state police, same thing. We'd still have to maintain our towers, we'd still have to put new towers in, and we're right back to square one, and then we don't control our own system.
Right.
So by doing this, we can spend the money and control our own system. And it's going to be the first time in a long time that we're able to do that. And the reason we're in disrepair is because we were in shared services with other people, and it's failed.
And to switch to digital too, as we, in 08, you went to switch? Okay.
Correct. We have
Thank
certain
you.
channels that are UHF and some that are digital, but then they would all be digital, and we'd have a trunk line which actually give us more coverage and more channels.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And just to say, Councilman Lamb, that's a great point. I mean, coming right on the council, we thought the same thing. Why not just go to the state? Why not just go to the county? It's right here. I mean, we have the county tower right on Chestnut in Toms River. And so we question that same logic because it makes sense. Unfortunately, what we found is a lot of our buildings, especially our very, very sensitive buildings in town, we have our colleges here, we have our schools, especially with the atmosphere that's going around the world. It's very important that, our first responders, or especially our police department, has constant communication inside those buildings. So, I just want to thank the chief for all the hard work he's done, and Mr. Chinkillian for all the work they did, going through this gamut with us, especially when we were questioning these things. You really showed the light at this, and I think it's extremely important, especially for our safety of our public and safety for our first responders, too.
Okay. So on that note, council, I'll take a
Move the ordinance?
Second.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
I'd just like to add that, I know they touched upon it, but it is an unfunded mandate. So we are being forced to switch to the different frequency. So it's not an option, especially with the failing equipment that we have now. We have explored joining the county, which was my first choice, and it's not possible, and this is what we need to do. So I vote yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Stokosy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I'd like to thank the chief for coming out tonight and explaining that, again, to myself. But at this point, I'm going to abstain for now. Thank you.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
I didn't, it's not a very good connection. I didn't get to hear what the chief was saying, but I would like to give him the benefit of explaining before I cast a vote on this. But I'll tell you, between Ordinance 10 and Ordinance 11, it's an awful lot of new debt, $25 million. People are suffering. The economy is not doing well. Residents are not doing well. I'm going to abstain here so I can give the chief an opportunity to explain this a little more. But again, it's an awful lot of money, so I'm going to abstain here.
Council President Gagan?
In addition to what Councilman Latano had said, this is being an FCC mandate, an unfunded mandate at that, this is, there's also a timeline because the frequencies are on. I understand it interrupts or interferes with the digital cable TVs, and apparently they have more money than public safety, so they won the fight with FCC. Again, it's a mandate we wish the federal government was paying for, just like the state mandates that come out. We wish they paid for it. They don't, and we're stuck with it. Public safety is paramount. I mean, there when police officers walk into the emergency room with different clientele, shall we say, or patients, they've lost all communication, all of them. And that also applies to, the EMS fire that go into these big buildings, whether it's the schools, and we know how, the schools can be. We have school resource officers there, the college, as Councilman Coppin mentioned. It's needed to keep the public safe and our first responders safe. So I vote yes.
Item 12 is resolution authorizing the reading of the Township of Toms River 2022 calendar year budget by title only.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Amoruso to come on up for his presentation, as well as Ms. Titell.
And where is Mike? What's that?
Yes, correct. We already saw that PowerPoint. We reviewed our emails at that time.
are you folks waiting on me?
While we're working on these, can you hear me?
No.
While we're working on these technical issues right now, I just wanted to take a moment to remember Detective John Thiebaud. I know we had a moment of silence before, but I met John.
Mr. Amoruso, maybe you can get the portable mic.
Working on these, can you hear me? We're working on these technical issues right now. I just wanted to take a moment
Him, because it's the
to
feedback.
remember.
Right.
Just again, back to John Thiebaud, who passed away a couple of days ago. Living in Nortley Beach in the mid-'70s, John was the first police officer in Dover Township that I had the pleasure to meet. And, you know, you hear the term community policing. I think John invented it. I always had time to talk to the kids. I happen to be one of them. I was fortunate to have known him, and he was a great guy. And I just wanted everybody to have him and his family in our prayers tonight. Okay, thank you, Mike. Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Council, for the opportunity to present Mayor Hill's 2022 budget tonight. There's going to be a lot of facts and figures that we go over because that is what a budget is. We're going to talk about commitment to fiscal responsibility, something that Mayor preaches almost every day in the office. And I think this presentation is going to illustrate that. Taxes equal services, and balance is critical. You pay taxes for municipal services, and we maintain a high level of municipal services. Excuse me? Okay. We maintain a high level of municipal services, and it's not by chance. It's a balancing act, and while we're looking at facts and figures tonight, the people that are responsible for our ability to bring these budgets in and provide services are the staff, the department heads, division managers, and the workers. And I just want to acknowledge all their hard work, dedication, and professionalism, because they are the people behind the institution that make everything happen. This year's budget will have a repeat of last year's 0% tax increase. In these times, it's important. You know, we do everything we can to keep things stable. We have cooperation of the 8 labor unions along with the confidential employees. And in the last 13 months, we were able to settle 8 labor contracts. And this was accomplished by in-house staff without the expense of outside labor counsel. The settlements were fair and sustainable, and on an annualized basis, the raises for the 8 unions and confidential employees comes out to less than 2% through 2024. Budget preparations commenced in earnest in the final quarter of the calendar year, but in reality, it's an ongoing process throughout the year. Every decision that's made on a township level has budgetary consequences. And then finally, the county and state mandated property tax reval had a 0% impact on the total revenue amount to be raised by taxes in 2022. And we'll go into details on that a little further in upcoming slides. And the big highlight really is that, again, we have a 0% municipal tax rate increase while maintaining high level of sustained, high level of services and continued tax stability. And again, facts and figures. So starting to get into the numbers, the 2020 proposed tax rate is 0.437 per 100 versus the 2021 rate of 0.676 per 100. And that's really a function of the reval. The rateable base went up, the tax rate came down, the amount of money to be raised by taxes stays essentially the same. The 2022 municipal tax levy on an average home with assessed value of $448,700 is $1,960. 1 cent to the average homeowner equates to $44.87 and generates a little over $2 million in municipal tax revenue. And all of this comes out to a 0% increase in tax rate net revenue. The chart on the bottom shows a comparison in assessed values, assessed home values between 21 and 22. Obviously, 21 is pre-reval, 22 is after the reval. So if your house was assessed at $200,000 in 2021, your municipal taxes were $1,352. Your new assessment, based on true market value, is $309,500, and the amount of taxes remain the same at $1,352. Similarly, a $290,000 assessed house in 2021 paid $1,960 in municipal taxes, and with a 2022 assessed value of $448,700, the taxes remain the same at $1,960. Non-discretionary appropriations. Council President talked about the unfunded mandate for the radio, FCC radio frequency upgrade. There are others as well. Total health employee costs increased nearly 5%, or $816,000. Could have been significantly more. We switched carriers from Horizon to Aetna. The Horizon increase would have been approximately $2 million. We're also in the second year of 5 annual funding payments of the property tax reval. And again, this reval was mandated by the Ocean County Board of Taxation and then again reinforced by the Attorney General. Township, mayor, or council had no discretion in this matter. The total pension bill from the state of New Jersey increased 5%, or nearly $500,000, and that's part of Governor Murphy's ongoing program to fund the state pension plan. He's shifting more of the burden onto the employer, and his stated goal is to achieve a 7% rate of return. The minimum wage increases have led to an increase in overall costs of about $100,000. And then we had a blizzard in January, and the cost to the township was $600,000. I've used the words unprecedented and historic, and it's become almost routine since the pandemic. And this year, we're calling it the year of the Great Resignation. Attrition is at historic levels. For one reason or another, people have just decided it's time to stop working. Of the 37 retirements, only 20 of those were pre-planned. The other 17 were kind of spur of the moment. People realized that they had the time in, and they felt that retirement was more appealing than coming to work. Along with that, we had 47 full-time and part-time resignations. With the retirements of the full-timers, with them goes a wealth of knowledge, institutional knowledge, and it's not easily replaced. When employees plan their retirement, we have a succession plan, but when they make these decisions quickly, management doesn't have the opportunity to go forward or to enact the succession plan. So it creates a scenario where adapting on the fly becomes the norm. And kudos to the managers that were able to do this without any interruption of services. These next two categories are in addition to normal sick leave, personal leave, and other PTO. The FMLA program and leaves of absences in 2021 totaled 1,521 days. The FMLA program increase is attributable to an additional benefit that's been offered for newborn care. And what that does is adds 12 weeks of FMLA at 85% of an employee's salary. Due to COVID, we lost another 430 days. So if you take those two numbers and you total them up, it comes out to 1,951 days. To put it in perspective, the average employee with days off works about 230 days a year. So that 1,951 days is the equivalent of losing 8.5 full-time employees. So again, it's challenging to keep producing with these staffing shortages. How are we able to achieve a 0% tax increase? Well, cost savings initiatives. Since Mayor Hill took over, we've steadily and methodically reduced the number of full-time employees. We've done that through attrition and departmental restructuring. There's been no layoffs. So in 2020, we had 506. You can see in 2021, there are 490. And in 2022, we're at 479. Basically about a 6% increase. But when you realize it's 27 full-time positions, there's a huge cost avoidance that goes along with that. Most of the people here that are no longer on the rolls were senior employees at the higher end of the pay scale. So there's significant cost savings. New revenue streams, we have a hospital bed tax, and that was introduced by statute. In lieu of hospitals paying property taxes, they're now required to pay a hospital bed tax. Council approved a hotel tax this year. Construction revenues are up due to the robust real estate market. And then finally, restructuring and partial privatization of the legal department has resulted in annual savings of $463,000. And I'd like to, acknowledge Attorneys McGuckin and Merlino for the hard work they've put in to make this a reality. Future concerns for 2023 and beyond. Anticipated pension increases. 2023, we'll see another pension increase as the state moves to fully fund the pension plans and phase in their assumed rate of return of 7%. Minimum wage increase will go to $15 an hour by 2024 and then continue to increase thereafter. Health benefit costs and employee retention. Anticipated health insurance increases and an even more competitive employee hiring market, including accelerated employee retirements and resignations, make that challenging. We've taken some steps to be more competitive in our healthcare shopping, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then finally, and very currently, fuel costs and historic inflation. And I really don't need to say much more about that. The last year's rate of inflation was 7%, and the way things are going right now, that may look attractive in a few months. Fuel costs, petroleum costs, and everything related to the petroleum industry is just skyrocketing out of control, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's being handled or mishandled at the federal level. Future opportunities. We're going to have a bonded debt drop-off in 2023. And in an upcoming slide, I'll show you how we've maintained a stable bonded indebtedness for the last 5 years. Current interest rates have been at historic lows. Going forward, they may begin to rise, but in 2021, our strong AA S&P bond rating attracted investors, and it resulted in the township securing both short-term and long-term loans at historically low interest rates, less than 1% true interest cost. Downtown redevelopment and the VA project are on the horizon. Hopefully, it'll revitalize downtown and more importantly, provide much-needed services for our veteran population. Ratables from construction projects. Again, the Ocean County real estate market is very strong. And I mentioned this previously, the ability to competitively shop for health care due to finalized labor contracts. Prior to this round of contracts, there was no provision for converting to the state health benefits plan. All collective bargaining units conceded to give the township the authority to do that. So we will be able to competitively shop in 2023 for health insurance. Ongoing initiatives. The council endorsed an efficiency study in early 2020. We continue to implement these improvements, and to date, it's resulted in more than $1.5 million in savings. And I think the cost for that study was about $160. So that's a very nice return on investment. We're going to continue to leverage new technology to improve efficiency and lessen personnel costs. Personnel and payroll, Judy, Tara, Alex, and Nora have worked hard on identifying a new HR and integrated payroll program, and that's slated to go live in 2023. The township continues to investigate opportunities to acquire open space. In 2021, it resulted in the purchase of beachfront property in Ortley, and Boy Scout Council property on 571, which abuts other township and county preserve lands along the banks of the Toms River. And smart commercial development is going to add ratables to the township roster without burdening the schools. Okay, we all know that the township is the taxing entity that collects taxes for other government agencies. This chart shows the breakdown. The township only controls about a quarter of your property taxes. The schools are responsible for about the other half, and then the county, open space, and fire make up the final quarter. This chart shows the average property tax comparison between Toms River, Ocean County, and the state average. And you can see we fare very favorably. We're 10% below the county average, and we are 28% below the state average. And this is average total property taxes. So this includes the schools, fire district, and the county. This chart speaks to the comparison of the municipal taxes of the four large towns in Ocean County: Lakewood, Brick, Jackson, and Toms River. We're below these other towns. Lakewood, we're 19% below. We're 15% below Brick. Taxes alone, Jackson is actually a little bit less expensive, but their residents are required to pay for private trash collection, and that averages about $500 a year. So when you adjust that cost, they also are about 15% more expensive than Toms River. This bar chart shows the net taxable value, and this speaks to the reval. If you look back in 2012, the 2010, 2011, 2012, the net taxable value, or the rateable base, was very high. It was over $16 billion. And then there was this precipitous drop-off in 2013 post-Sandy, down to a little over $12 billion. It has gradually and steadily increased through 2021. The County Tax Board and the Attorney General's Office looked at the ratios and felt that property values in Toms River were not at or above 85%. In fact, they appear to be, on an average basis, about 65% of true value. After the reval, the net taxable value or rateable base is over $20 billion. Okay, and that's important because while the rateable base and the total values went up, the amount of money that we raise in taxes did not. Okay, and this is the effect of the revaluation right here. You see a comparison between 2021, last year before reval, and then 2022. Again, this is proposed after the reval. You can see that, in short, assessed values went up, the tax rate came down, and there is a 0% increase in municipal taxes. This chart, pie chart, shows the anticipated revenue for of 133 million. This was, Judy, was this 2020? It is 2022, okay, thank you. 2021 was a good year too, but 2022, our municipal levy is 66% of anticipated revenue. Couple that with 13% surplus, and that's nearly 80% of the revenue needed to operate the township government. The remaining 20% is comprised of miscellaneous revenues, state aid, delinquent taxes, and grants. And earlier, I mentioned that taxes equal services, and none of those services is more important than public safety. And our police department, EMS, and all the people that work for those two departments, both civilian and enlisted, do an outstanding job. In 2020, the activities were up while crime was down, and Toms River was recognized as the safest large town in New Jersey. Thanks go out to Chief Little and his outstanding sworn-in civilian staff. Well done. This is kind of a busy chart, but it shows the distribution of appropriations in the 2022 budget. I'll point out just a few of the more significant cost drivers. Public safety accounts for 26%, or just over $34 million of total appropriations. Insurances make up another 16%, more than $21 million. Capital debt and public works, respectively, make up 11% each. And general government expenses are at 8%. This includes all the departments and services which aren't otherwise identified on this chart. Landfill fees and utilities account for another 7%, or about $9.25 million. And then lastly, the reserve for uncollected taxes is another 7%, or $9.65 million. And this is not an expenditure, as the name implies. It is applied to the reserves as required by statute. Council just introduced or approved, moved two ordinances for capital tonight. One was for the police radio project, and the other was for the annual capital ordinance. About $25 million, a lot of money. However, this chart will show you that we've done a really good job of stabilizing our bonded indebtedness. And following my presentation, you're going to see a resolution that's going to cancel around $10 million, $11 million. So what does all of that mean? It means that we try to pay off debt, cancel debt, as we bring on new debt, so that our percentage of debt remains the same. By law, we're allowed to have 3% of our average equalized assessed value or rateable base. We are currently at 0.91%. So we're under 1% of the statutorily permitted debt level. If you go back to 2017, you could see that the township was just above 1%, but since 18, we have steadily come down. And in 2020, 2021, and 2022, we're just about 0.9%. It's very important for a lot of reasons because it has to do with the fiscal health of the township and the sustainability. Again, this is a good budget. There's a 0% increase. But I always get asked the question, what about the future? Well, we're preparing for the future, and you do that by stability and smart growth. This is the cost of the capital projects breakdown by percentages. The radio project is 52%. Paving and elevation is another 29%. Vehicles and equipment is 14%. And township improvements come in at 5% of the overall capital cost. Okay, and these are the capital projects in actual dollars. Again, the police radio system, beyond our control, federally mandated, frequency has to change, $13.2 million. The annual paving program, $4 million. Several street elevation projects for those low-lying, flood-prone areas of the town, $3.25 million. And some smaller projects, fences and beach railing of $200,000, and park and recreation improvements to the tune of $480,000. We talked about paving. This is the projected or proposed paving program for this year. You can see these red areas. And this is something that we do every year. I will stress, though, that this is a proposal, and we don't have a crystal ball, and frankly, we've never seen such volatility in the petroleum markets as we have right now. I would say this is subject to change. Hopefully some sanity takes over in Washington, and we can get through this, and maybe they'll open up the pipelines, and we're not paying a king's ransom for fuel and petroleum. Stand by. And in summary, your municipal share of your tax bill is 27%. 76% of New Jersey and 60% of Ocean County municipalities pay higher taxes than Toms River. We maintain a high level of municipal services. This year, we actually increased the frequency of recycling collection by 8%, no additional cost, and that's due in part to the restructuring that council approved a couple of meetings ago. We've achieved tax rate stability without mortgaging the future. This is critical. You don't want gimmick budgets. You pay the piper later on. These are very, very straightforward, sustainable budgets. We have fiscally conservative labor contracts. We've shifted burden from taxpayers to user-driven fees in a number of programs, and the implementation of council-authorized efficiency studies continues to reap benefits. Toms River is in a favorable position to maintain its investment-grade AA bond rating in 2022. It speaks for itself. We're going to continue to streamline the workforce through attrition and departmental structuring without sacrificing services as the opportunities arise. And then finally, Mayor's mandate to me was another 0% tax rate this year, and this proposal brings that home. I want to thank you all for your time and thank everybody here for the support. And again, especially Judy, who worked really hard to put this together with me. She came on board in September, and what a great pickup she was for the township. And again, to all you professionals out there, I want to thank you. We can't do it without you, okay? It's a lot of hard work. This doesn't happen by chance. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lou.
Excuse me, Council President, will the Township Administrator answer questions this evening for the public and
This
for the
has to go
council?
before the DCA first, and then when we have the public hearing on the budget, this is just an introduction, correct? So, it's not approved through
Well,
DCA.
normally during the introduction, when it's introduced to the public is given the opportunity, along with council, to ask questions. Well, we didn't hear what the actual budget number was going to be, and we didn't hear what the tax levy would be. We only heard what the anticipated multiplier would be, but we didn't hear what the actual size of the budget would be, and we didn't hear what the anticipated tax levy is going to be. So, I mean, it's not really a budget. All we heard about was the multiplier, the going down. Well, when you have a massive reval, of course, the multiplier is not going to go up, but we didn't hear anything about how much the town wants to spend or what the total anticipated amount of taxes would be under this budget. So we really didn't hear anything about the budget as far as the meat and potatoes are concerned. Can we have what the anticipated size of the budget is going to be and what the levy will be?
Would you care to answer that,
Certainly.
Mr. Amoruso?
I believe last year,
But I also respectfully ask that we talk into the mic because the computer, the live stream went down several times, and I'm getting that from residents at home are texting me that, and I know that to be true too because I was watching that because it was a better audio feed, but the feed over the phone is not so good. So if I could respectfully ask that we speak nicely and loud into the microphone, I would greatly appreciate that.
Can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay. Last year's, Judy, the number for last year's budget, the final budget number was 140. Yeah, please. Yeah, Councilman, those numbers were up on the board. I guess you couldn't see them from where you were. Judy's going to answer those two questions that you posed again.
Sure. The total budget for 2021 was $141,461,234.67. And this year's total budget is $133,524,805.21.
So this year is 130.
133,524,805.21.
133.5, and what was it last year?
141,461,234.67.
141 to 133.
So the big difference is going to fall into the grant category, because last year we had some significant grants that were in our budget that were non-recurring.
Okay, and okay, so that throws the whole thing off. What
Yes.
is the total anticipated tax levy for this year?
The anticipated tax levy with the county and this and the other
No,
districts.
municipal. Total
Just the municipal.
levy.
88,536,066.
Got to be on the summary sheet, right? I mean, the state wants that number.
Yes, it's in the budget. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Your municipal levy. What is the total municipal tax levy under this budget?
88,536,066.
88.5, and what was it last year?
88,115.
88.1. So you're anticipating only an increase in revenue of $400,000?
That's the anticipated difference between revenues and appropriations on both sides. It's a balanced budget.
Okay, I'm very sorry. It's very difficult to hear. I really do apologize. It's not your fault. It's just a technology issue. So you're anticipating 88.5, and you're saying last year was 88.1?
That's for the
I'm
municipal
seeing
budget.
a different number last year.
That's the municipal tax amount to be raised by taxes to support the municipal budget.
Maybe we could email this to Councilman Roderick so he can review some of it, because I know the numbers were posted on there. He just
Okay,
couldn't
I
see
don't
it.
want to take up any more time as far as the public. We're not voting on this today. But again, I just wanted to point out that we should have the meat and potatoes for the public. I mean, what the town actually wants to spend, what it's actually intending on raising. You know, obviously, in the year of a revow, the multiplier is not going to go up. We know that, but the people are interested in knowing how much we're going to spend and how much we're going to tax in total. So I still don't really have last year's number as far as the levy is concerned. I couldn't make that out. I do have the number in front of me, the state's data open, but you know, I guess we'll talk about that when it comes time to vote for the budget. I just want to thank everybody for indulging me here and indulging the public.
Okay. Council, your pleasure on moving the resolution.
0% increase. I motion to move the resolution.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Quinless. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Quinless?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I want to thank the administrator for that presentation. It was very well laid out. At this time, I'll abstain.
Councilman Roderick?
This resolution was to give the administrator the opportunity to present, correct? I mean, I thought we should have voted on this. I had some technical difficulties, but it's my assumption that we were supposed to vote on this before the presentation was actually given. Am I correct on that?
It's to present
That's
it
what this resolution is for?
to present this budget to the DCA and through the proper channels before it can be approved, and then we will
Just to
actually vote on
present
it
it.
later on.
I'm going to abstain. I'm going to abstain.
Of course.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 13 is a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, canceling general capital improvement authorizations.
And this, I'm going to ask our CFO to come up and speak on it briefly, what it is, and
Sure. This is the ordinance that Lou had previously discussed when he was talking about the debt. This resolution is canceling debt that was authorized of about $11 million. And so that'll reduce the amount of debt that we had authorized on our books.
very good, thank you. Okay. Now we'll bring her up for that. Okay, Council, your
Move the resolution.
Motion was made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Councilman Quinless. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Quinless?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Abstain?
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Before I cast my vote, in simple terms, layman's terms, because I understand all this government language is difficult, if we appropriated money for a capital improvement, we can't just say, well, the money's not going to that, we're just going to shift gears and go in a different direction. We actually have to go through this process, canceling the debt out and then taking out new debt. I know it seems redundant, it's government, but it's the way we
I
have to
think I
do it to
lost the number here that I'm supposed to be on. This is like very hard to do.
comply with the law, so I vote yes.
Mr. Criglio, Council President, I just want clarification. Did we just, are you holding a vote on number 12?
No, number 14, you
Well-
voted yes. Or number 13, you voted yes.
13, not 14, correct? You're on 13?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Now we can move on to item 14.
Item 14, resolution of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, to amend the 2022 temporary budget pursuant NJSA 40A:4-20.
Okay, and again, I'll ask our CFO, Mr. Teller, to come up and just give a brief explanation why this is needed and what we're doing.
Sure. Thank you, Council President. The reason we're doing a temporary amendment to our budget is because we've just approved the introduction of the budget for 2022, but now there'll be a period of time until April 6th, where we will have the public hearing and adopt the budget. But until that time, we still have to operate. And so the initial temporary budget that we did in January was only 1/4 of the budget. So we have to add additional funds to make available to keep operations going.
Okay, very good, thank you. Council, your pleasure on item 14.
Item 14, this is normal accounting practices. We have to do it all the time. You can't appropriate more than 25% of the budget at a time. I vote yes.
Second.
Sorry, motion, yeah, sorry.
Motion is made by Council
Yeah.
Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
I think we had the same resolution back in January, so I'm voting yes.
Councilman Lamb?
No.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
No.
Council President Gagan?
Yes. On to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately.
Hey, does any member of the council have any item they would like discussed separately or voted on separately?
I just need a roll call on H and J.
Roll call H and J. Councilman Roderick?
I'd like a roll call on D, H, I, and J. And I don't mind if they're bundled together.
B, H, I, and, was it B as in boy or D as in
So
David?
again, I'll repeat, I'm sorry. D as in dog, H as in Harry, I as in, I don't know, and J as in just because.
There's our school teachers. Okay, so I'll just confirm, D as in Delta, H as in hotel, I as in item, J as in Juliet. Okay, does any member of
There you go.
any other member of the council have any other item you would like discussed separately or voted on separately? Does any member of the public have any item you would like to see discussed separately? Okay. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to move the rest of the consent agenda with the exception of D as in dog, H as in hotel, I as in item, J as in John.
Motion to move the balance of the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Abstain?
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Just clarification, is this a roll call or are we voting on the entire consent agenda minus the roll called items?
Once again, as I stated earlier, I took a motion to move the rest of the...
Council President, can you please do me a favor and just let the clerk answer because I don't know what it is with your mic, but your audio is very bad. I apologize for interrupting you, but your audio is not good, sir. If you don't mind, if the clerk could answer, he seems to be coming in nice and clear. Again, I would appreciate that, and I do apologize for interrupting you.
Your apology is accepted, first also noted, but Councilman Cruglio?
This is a roll call for the consent agenda, except for items D, H, I, and J.
Excuse that last
Okay,
vote.
then I vote yes.
Chair, excuse that last vote. I vote yes. I was confused. I thought we were bundling in that motion. So I'll be a yes vote on
Okay,
that.
well,
Council President Gagan.
yes. Okay, now, we will take them one at a time. Item D is in dog. That is the Human Resource Information System. Councilman Roderick, did you have a question on that, or did you wish a roll call vote just on that?
I just want a roll call.
Okay,
If someone else may have a question, I don't know, but I just want a roll call.
okay.
Move resolution D.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
This was a recommendation from the efficiency study. It helps streamline the HR department in our township. I vote yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I abstain on this?
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Abstain.
Council President Gagan.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item H as in hotel. That was a question on that, Councilman Roderick, or just a roll call vote?
Just a roll call.
Okay. Council, your pleasure. Item H is an hotel.
Move item H.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sorry.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Sakozy. Council Vice President Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Sakozy,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Abstain?
Councilman Lamb,
Abstain?
Councilman Quinlisk,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Abstain.
Council President Gagan,
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item I as an item. Question or just a roll call vote, Councilman Roderick?
I believe you
Just
said-
a roll call.
Okay. Council, your pleasure on item I. as an
Move
item.
item I.
Second.
motion is made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Sakozy,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb,
Abstain?
Councilman Quinlisk,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Abstain.
Council President Gagan.
Yes. Okay, item J is in John. And I believe this is just a roll call vote. Council, your pleasure on this?
Excuse me. Move item J.
Okay, second.
I'll second. I'm sorry.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Sakozy. Council Vice President Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Sakozy,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Abstain?
Councilman Lamb,
Abstain?
Councilman Quinlisk,
Abstain.
Councilman Roderick,
Abstain.
Motion does not carry.
Council Vice President Gagan.
I also have to abstain as I'm a volunteer firefighter with Fire District 2. So the motion, the resolution does
President, I
not
don't think
pass.
that can pass.
Thank you. I can also count. The resolution does not pass?
That's correct.
Okay. This time, we'll move on to the reports. Mr. Fruglio?
Moving to the reports.
Move the reports.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Sakozy,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb,
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
This is for the reports.
yes.
Again, sorry, the audio is not so hot. I vote yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Move to the bills.
Move the bill list.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
I need to abstain from all bills payable to Owen and Little Associates and all bills payable to Silverton First Aid. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Sakozy,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb,
Need to abstain from Dasty, McGuckin, and the magistrate salaries. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Quinlisk,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes, with the following two abstentions, Silverton First Aid Squad and also United Healthcare that covers retired township employees' health benefits. Yes to the balance.
Moving to elected officials' comments.
Okay. Councilman Roderick, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I'm sure I speak for everyone on the governing body and for the entire township. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to the people of the Ukraine, and may their fight for freedom be successful, and I hope they turn back this invading army. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Lamb?
I was going to pick up on that. It was mentioned at the outset that the Ukraine issue was a conflict. It's certainly a war over there, and somebody like myself who's got Latvian heritage, Latvia and the Baltic states are also at danger from a Russian invasion, as well as the other NATO members. So as far as what's going on over there, it's an outright war. And I think that it's necessary for us on council to, again, express our displeasure in what's happening over there. It's a serious event, and I hope that Ukraine is safe. They're losing hundreds of people per day that we know about, and my hearts and thoughts go out to the Ukrainian people. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Quinliss?
Also, to piggyback on that, I feel horrible about what's going on in Ukraine. I'm sure many of you do. I feel helpless as to what most of us can do. In Ward 3, we do have a Ukrainian church. They are accepting donations. Right now, they are in special need or a specific need of military goods and medical goods. And I would hope that we can get more people to donate what they can to help out the Ukrainian community and help that church get what they need to ship over to Poland, hence and to the Ukraine from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Lozano?
Thank you, Council President. Items 8 and 9 on the agenda today were increases in some golf fees and some ice skating fees, mostly for non-residents. This is user-driven fees so that the taxpayer does not subsidize using the golf course or the ice rink. That helped us with our 0% budget. I want to thank Mr. Amoruso, Ms. Titella, Mayor Hill, everybody for their hard work. To get this all put together and this presentation put together, it took a lot of work, and to keep the budget at a 0 didn't come easily. Everybody worked very hard. I want to reiterate a couple things that Mr. Amoruso said, because the finances of the township are so important to me. When you look at your tax bill, 49% goes to the school, 27% comes to the town, 20% goes to the county. Special and fire is about 3%, open space is 1%. So the township is operating on about 27% of what you pay. You'd be amazed how many people don't realize that. 73% of your tax dollars do not come to the municipal government. The administration has kept a 0% increase by cutting some bloat, cutting some employees, but not cutting services. That's very important. We are not stealing from the future. Like Mr. Amoruso said, this is a very sustainable budget. We're being responsible for the future of the town. Again, being responsible, the capital budget, by law, we're allowed to be at 3%, like Mr. Amoruso said, and we are under 1%, 0.091%. This is very responsible and very sustainable. I want to thank the entire administration for working so hard to make this happen. Also, there was an Irish festival this weekend. I saw many of you in the audience that were there. It was a very good time. It really shows a lot with the businesses, how they work together with the county and the township government. We closed the road down. It took the county and the township to work together to do it. The businesses downtown had the banner day of sales. I mean, all of them sold out of pretty much everything they had. It was a wonderful event, and it came together nicely. So I just want to bring attention to that. Thank you for the bid. That, as always, you help put everything together. You do a fantastic job. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kopp?
Thank you, Council President. So as Councilman Latano said, we had our Downtown Irish Festival this past Saturday. It was a highly attended event and a large success for the downtown businesses. I know the bid is looking at making this an annual event, which I will fully support. It's great to see friends and family out there. It's a little chilly on Saturday, but everyone made the best of it, and it was a great time. We do have Downtown Night Out starting back up mid-May. It's going to be Fridays and Saturday nights. We're looking to hold that into the fall, so we have that coming back again this year. Last thing I want to talk about is on March 15th, we have our Small Business Advisory Committee starting up at 6 p.m. in Town Hall here. We have a large response from the business owners in town that would like to be involved and are excited to connect small businesses in the township government together. I look forward to meeting and talking with these businesses, and I hope that any other businesses that would be interested to please come on down March 15th at 6 p.m. in Town Hall here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sikoza.
Well, I want to give I want to give a shout out to Poland and the Polish people for what they're doing to help the Ukraine. I'm not Polish, I'm Italian, but they have really stepped up in this tragedy over there. They have taken in over 1 million people, children, women, the elderly. Not only that, they're stepping up militarily with they want to donate planes, weapons, and they're not afraid of the big bad bear. And I just think it's really brave of them. And to get to our budget, I wish I could take credit, but I've only been here for like 2 months, but I'll take a little bit. But this goes back to the previous years, so we don't get in a mess. I mean, our township is 40 plus square miles. We have almost 100,000 people in this town, and the population goes up, during the summer months and things. And I'm so proud of the mayor and our professionals, because we see how other towns are, and 75% of the towns in New Jersey, the municipal rate is higher than ours. And we get a lot for our money here, our parks, our systems. It's not perfect, and I'm sure we could, do better, but our professionals and the mayor and our council are working to do that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I'd like to extend my sympathies to the Devon family. He's badge number 87, and we're up to 400 and something now. So he's served 42 years, which is unusual in law enforcement nowadays. I will tell you, he's a very religious man. He's a parishioner at St. Luke's. I used to see him at 5:30 Mass on Saturday, and I plan on being at his viewing and also at his service on Saturday. So he's a very great family and a long history in Toms River. I want to thank our business administrator, Lou Amoruso, Judy Tutela, our CFO, all our department heads, division managers, for bringing in this budget at zero. It doesn't get any better than zero. With all that we've faced over the last 2 years, we've made reductions in our workforce. We've increased services. As Lou said, we've gone to an extra 2 days, 2 pickups a year in recycling at no cost, and that was through the efficiency study. We've managed to hone the areas that we pick up on and keep them efficient. I also want to thank our engineers, township engineers, Bob Chinkalian and Wendy Burkhead. Yesterday, they held a virtual town hall meeting on the substantially damaged appeal program. It was attended by over 140 residents, and Bob and Wendy stayed 4 hours to make sure that they answered all the residents' questions. The residents expressed their appreciation for the program and the information provided, so Wendy and Bob, thank you. Just a note, we were all talking about the Ukrainian situation and the invasion, the Russian invasion. St. Stephen's Ukrainian Church on White Oak Bottom is accepting donations of military clothing and items along with medical items to assist the Ukrainians. If you have military gear, camouflage, they're particularly looking for camouflage uniforms. You can go through your sea bag if you're in the military. If you've got extra camouflage uniforms, they're looking for that. Socks, thermals, you name it, they'll take it. The first shipment will be leaving tomorrow. The pastor, Father Popick, contacted both Jim Quinlick, myself, and Kevin last night. They were looking for a van, a panel van, to take this about 200 boxes of equipment up to East Hanover, New Jersey, and we were able to secure a donation of a truck from the local community. So our community is coming together to support the Ukrainians in a real and concrete manner. They're also accepting donations of adult clothing that are in good conditions, and you can make a financial contribution if you'd like. Over at the church, make your check out to St. Stephen's Church. They're accepting monetary donations. As was mentioned, last week was the first Irish Festival in Toms River. It was well attended. They blocked off Washington Street from Main Street to Robbins. It was a good crowd, tight crowd, but I'll tell you, everybody had a good time. I think everybody was Irish on Saturday. And you were treated to the Ocean County Shamrock and Thistle Bagpipe Band. And it was just a greatly attended event, and I hope that the bid will do it. I talked to Marin annually. I think it's an important thing to do. Last Friday, we held the first of several town hall meetings regarding the Toms River reevaluation and property tax reimbursement program, or what's commonly called the Senior Freeze, and other programs available to veterans, disabled, and our senior citizens. We held this with the residents of Holiday City. We're going to be going out on Monday to the Gardens of Pleasant Plains and other communities. Our tax collector, Carl DeLeo, and tax assessor, Bill Laird, were there with their staff to assist the seniors in filling out the PTR forms if you were new residents or new enrollees. Now, there's been a lot of misinformation regarding the reevaluation. As we've stated, this was mandated by the Ocean County Board of Taxation and the Attorney General of the State of New Jersey. Neither the mayor or the council ordered this. It was a mandate. Neither the mayor or council can order the tax assessor in any of the performance of his duties. The tax assessor's chain of command is to the Ocean County Board of Taxation and the State Board of Taxation. He's separate and apart from the council, and we don't control his operations. He constantly reviews the sales and the values of the properties that to be ad valorem or at market or at value. Finally, there's been some information given erroneously about NJSA 54:4-23. That cannot be done in this case because the Ocean County Board of Education, Ocean County Board of Taxation mandated a township-wide reevaluation. So at this current time, in the eyes of the Board of Taxation, we're at 100% of market value. So therefore, you can't do a focused evaluation of a small area of town. In any case, that would be something that was undertaken by the tax assessor and the Ocean County Board of Taxation. But in this case, as I said, it cannot be done because the Board of Taxation has accepted the PPA's reassessments, and we're considered at 100%. Those were filed back in February on the 18th. So again, there has been a lot of misinformation. Hopefully, the public understands this was a mandated reassessment, and the township nor the mayor or the council had any input into how that was done. It was done by a professional property appraisers, and they have filed that data with the Ocean County Board of Taxation. So in the eyes of the Ocean County Board of Taxation and the State Board of Taxation, Toms River is at 100% of true value. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The only couple things I have, the Irish Festival downtown, they did a fantastic job. They only planned it about 3 weeks ahead of time, and it was just overwhelmingly, despite of the weather, packed. Everybody had a good time. Again, I also attended with the mayor and the tax assessor and tax collector to the seminar with the Holiday City residents. I get it, none of us want to pay taxes, but they were informed with the truth and different rebates, and I thought overall it went well. They understood, again, the facts. People don't want to, they don't fear the facts, especially when they can be certainly backed up. And again, congratulations and thank you to the tax assessor and collector for coming out with us. It was, a very unique crowd. On this Saturday at the animal shelter from 10 to 12 is a free rabies clinic for any of you that, have animals that need the rabies shot. And the last thing I want to comment on is the public may have some questions on two different resolutions that we separately voted on. One was item H, and that dealt with the fire EMS dispatchers and the labor union to open up their contract, and it was them that came up with the wording for the supervision of them, of the 4 dispatchers. There's always been an agreement there. It's my understanding, for some reason, it was never renewed in about 2015. So this is something else we're trying to catch up with. Item J is the actual resolution approving the shared service agreement with the Board of Fire Commissioners. Certainly have to abstain. Mr. Quinliss has to abstain. We're both volunteer firefighters. Councilman Kopp had to abstain as he's done business with Fire District 2. That motion did not pass. So I'll be honest, I'm not sure where that goes at this point. It'll be a discussion for legal and the business administrator. But I just thought some of you might want to know what that was and why we voted the way we voted. So at that point, I have no other comments, and we'll open the floor for the public.
Chair, if I could we restore the live feed, take a small break? The live feed's down on the meetings for people at home. I'm
Okay.
being told they can't watch the meeting.
All right, we're going to public comment now. So. Yeah, with the
Okay.
storm.
Okay, no problem.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we're hearing from IT that everything is working in-house. It might be storm-related outside the building, and there will be a live feed up tomorrow of the meeting from beginning to end. Okay, thank you.
Council President, I just wanted to let you know that it's not only down for me. I've been receiving messages from residents at home. They're curious how it is. I know what's going on, because they're not able to watch, and I don't know. So I think Mr. Galante, he was watching at home and it went down, and he was wondering if I was still getting it. So it's not just me at home that doesn't have a feed. No one at home has the feed.
Well, maybe we explore the YouTube. Remember, I spent that last meeting, I think in February, I discussed maybe going to a YouTube channel like the Board of Education does. For some reason, theirs works very well. Some type of platform we could explore in the near future.
Sure. Again, the video of the meeting will be up on the township website tomorrow. So at this point, I'll open the floor to public comments. Any member of the public wish to be heard? Ms. Singer, if you would, just step up to the mic, state your name and address for the record. And
Good evening. My name is Lori Singer at 113 Garfield Avenue. I'd like to discuss with the Township Land Use Committee members of the council. To my understanding, Councilman Kopp, you are chair of that committee, and Councilman Sikosi, you are also on the committee. Yes, sir. And Councilman Latano, you're on the committee too. So I've been coming in front of the town council for 4 years regarding creating marijuana policy. And council has created a cannabis committee, and they created some recommendations for the council to move forward with policy, and now it has to be improved, discussed at the land use committee. Councilman Latano was the only one who got back to me on that. So to my understanding, the next land use committee meeting is this coming Tuesday. So is there a way that it can be put on the agenda up for discussion? I also emailed Councilman Kopp, Councilman Sikosi, and Councilman Latano what South Toms River is doing as far as marijuana policy. Their applications, their application fees, it's a non-refundable fee for $10,000 to apply to open up shop in South Toms River. So I emailed all of you to see, for you guys to have information to look over everything. So I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Is that something, because I understand because of the nature of your job, Councilman Kopp, is that something you're going to be able to move forward with and be able to vote on?
So, Mrs. Singer, yeah, you are correct. Due to the nature of my job, I am also still enlisted with the United States military, so I have to abstain from those discussions. I am the chairman of the Land Use Committee. We do have a meeting this Tuesday. was talking with Councilman Latano here. We would like to put this on the meeting for, we have our next meeting is April 19th, just so we could put out we already sent out the agenda to the current members of the Land Use Committee, and we do have a pretty full agenda currently. But I can tell you for sure that this discussion will be on the Land Use Committee meeting on April 19th, which is our next meeting.
You won't have, I thought, it was to my understanding that the land use committee meetings were once a month?
That's correct. So this coming Tuesday, that meeting is, we have a full agenda with that meeting, okay?
Right. Oh, so the following month. Okay.
Correct. So we have no problem.
We're in
having
March again already, right?
Yep, I know. So we have no problem. It's too short of notice. I saw your email today, and unfortunately, sorry I couldn't get back to you in time.
That's okay.
I have no problem bringing this to the Land Use Committee. Myself, I do have to abstain from it, but on April 19th is our next one, and we will have that on the Land Use Committee meeting.
So I understand that you can't vote on it, but you can have this discussion on it, or is it like a sensitive matter? Or
Yeah, it is a sensitive matter. Councilman Latano is the co-chair of the committee, so he will be, in a sense, when that discussion happens, I'm just going to abstain from the conversation, and Councilman Latano will head that discussion.
Okay, okay. And Councilman Sikosi, I mean, have you reviewed the marijuana committee things I gave to you a month again, sir?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, there's, all right, there's,
I'll be prepared by April 19th.
okay, all right, great. Thank you, guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Ms. Tormolen.
Hi, Dana Tormolen, 105 Messenger Street. I just want to speak real quickly about the food distribution at the Presbyterian Church of Toms River. We're going into week 103 this week. So next week, obviously, will mark the 2-year time frame of food distribution with the help from Fulfill. This week, we will have 1,000 corned beefs to anybody who is to come through the line. No questions asked. Just open your trunk and tell us how many people you're feeding, and we'll be more than happy to give you enough. We'll have enough for an entire St. Patrick's Day feast, carrots, potatoes, corned beef, and any other weekly staples that anybody will need. So again, Friday morning from 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're there. Come through if you need anything, and if you know anybody who needs anything, please send them through as well. I just have one quick question regarding the abstentions that go on throughout the meetings. I find it very disheartening that our emergency services budgets are always the ones being abstained, people are abstaining from voting on them. The council and whoever has approved the 2 big buildings downtown, the bank was used as an example as far as the radio service goes and such. Councilman Lamb is a police officer. I don't understand why you would put a group of residents, or yourself for that matter, for your job, at high risk of missing out on something of such an emergency. It's a need, we're in an emergency of need, as well as, God forbid, something should happen in these buildings and nobody can get the calls through. Our firefighters are going to need different equipment to go into these large buildings. But most of all, if our police officers are going a 40 square mile radius, and they're not getting the calls that they need,
Right.
where are these abstentions coming from?
Let me explain it.
Is my question.
I'll explain it.
Can I finish?
Sure.
The other thing is, again, Mr. Roderick always votes against the green. Whatever his reasons are, that's fine. But both of you are collecting benefits through this town. You have given up your benefits through your employers to come here, collect off the taxpayer. Why are you always voting no towards the budget that then pays your health benefits?
So there's a 2-part question. Let me talk about the first part and then we'll go to the second
Right
part.
ahead.
The first part you asked me is why I abstained from the
Correct.
expenditure tonight. From what I was told by the chief of police was that the costs are borne, I think they used the Ocean First building as the example, that there was a $300,000 repeater that was installed. Was that correct? Did I hear that correct? So if private entities are going to bear that cost, then I think we should have a suspecting eye on any expenditures that this body says yes to, number one. Number two, when we talk about public safety, again, when I leave here tonight at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I'll be working on the road, midnight shifts at Lavalla Police Department. So I get a little something about public safety and what that sacrifice is. As Mr. Councilman Kopp has, as a military man himself and the mayor, when we talk about public safety, I'm a big believer in that sometimes expenses can get out of control and government spending can get out of control. When we're talking about the 52% column for capital expenditures this year, that's a big number. And I think we should spend time in looking at those numbers and make sure they're extremely accurate, because when you involve private entities with government, people get a little lazy and they get a little sloppy with their computing, and there could be money that goes in certain directions that should not go in that direction. So with that said, the chief's explanation with the private entity bearing that cost, I would want to spend more time understanding that before I vote yes to the government spending all that money.
Do they not bring these up ahead of time? Like, are you not presented with all this information?
I was not, no, I was not presented with that information.
Yeah. This, in Councilman Lamb's defense, this process has been going on for a couple of years.
Correct.
And I believe what you were hearing about the example with the bank, and that's going to be in the new building codes, it's the bank or the hospital that actually has to pay for those repeaters so that the officers, firefighters, EMTs, when they go in those structures, the schools, it'll work in there. Sure. It's not really a partnership.
Well, we
What
used
they have to
Lavalette,
do.
we had an issue with frequency as well, and we have a huge, almost 600-foot water tower in town. So the argument goes that let's use the water tower as the highest point, and I'm not, again, a radio expert, but from what I was gathering from Councilman Kopp about the Chestnut Street area, there are towers in town that we can use. So that's why also my second part, which I would say, let's explore if there's other high points in town that we can use besides bearing all that full
Yeah,
cost.
so we have a bunch of towers in town. It's not just one. It's got to cover, it's not, so we have 42 square miles of land, but with the water and everything, it's over 50 square miles.
that.
So we have a bunch of spots. We have explored it. We've gone back to VCOM, who was the original company. They've sharpened their pencils.
Right.
We've cut down the number of portable radios. There's a lot that went into this, because originally $12 million, like, none of us wanted to have any part of it. It is a mandate to switch to the frequency, and unfortunately, we don't have the towers, I guess, to facilitate that, right, Mr. Chikalian?
Been going on for
I think
2
Mr.
years.
Chicalli can talk to this too. A lot of these
Well-
towers need to be replaced. I mean, we have our one at the PD that needs to be replaced. We need to put a lattice tower there. It's a large cost. And a lot of these towers need to be addressed. So it's not
Yeah.
like we can just go to the highest point, slap an antenna up top and say, yeah, that's there.
Go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
Try to answer most of that. VCON has done an analysis looking at transceiver calls from radios in and out of buildings, from portables in and out from the PD, at the high towers, and they've designed, like I said, a hub and spoke situation where you have basically the PDs at the center of the town, and then strategic areas throughout the town for the best coverage. I apologize if I was unclear. The purpose of the radio project is so that a business, on top of better communication, a business like the bank would not have to spend that money if the town had better coverage. There are certain situations, low E-glass windows, steel construction, that if the business owner decides to do that, he may have to, but in certain areas right now, we don't have the coverage. I believe the college is an issue now. There's a school up in, I believe a school in Silverton that's an issue. So by spreading out where we transmit from with a better geographically designed system, we can minimize the areas where we don't have coverage. And in doing so, whenever we can use a tower, such as the PD, that we have to build a new tower, but at that location, we can use the one at DPW, we can use the one at the state, but we do have to build a new one at the old animal shelter site. And we had previously looked at using the tower at the Eastover Fire, but it doesn't, it's beyond its capacity, it can't handle any more. So we did sharpen our pencil, as Councilman Latano said. This is the best geographic design for the best coverage.
I just think that, I just think too that being up here, you can't be a rubber stamp, and you can't take these expenditures and just vote yes to them. A lot of the spending I've seen up here, and again, I'm just speaking from in the past, too much of a just let it roll, and, I'm sure they've met, I'm sure you've had meetings, I'm sure you've really, really focused on what the problem is, but I need more time to examine what we need to do with certain expenditures, and that's why I abstained for it. But thank you, Mr. Chuck.
But Councilman Lamb, I understand and respect your abstention and trying to get some more information, but that's what that's what we're up here to do.
Sure.
We have our professionals here that, I can call Mr. Chakalian, he picks up the phone every single time.
Sure.
When you get this agenda, you're supposed to review it,
I reviewed it.
ask the questions that you have regarding the radio project. If one of the questions was,
I asked.
okay, the transceivers, well, what are we gonna do about the schools? What's your solution there? Charge the schools?
Well, look, in my experience, former TAC officer, I've been to state police academies for naming up and down dispatch and radios. I don't really understand the chief's response when he talks about repeaters, because I think that technology can be looked at a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. So by abstaining, I want time to spend time with the chief. This was a first reading, was it not?
It is, that's correct.
So in a first reading, am I allowed to abstain if I want to get more information?
Final too.
I could do that, but I don't know if that's necessary at this time. But at this time, I thought it
Well,
was
I will
necessary.
make myself readily accessible for any questions you have, and I'm sure Mr. Chinkilian, the chief of police here,
Well,
will be able to
it's
answer
interesting
any
you bring it up. I
questions.
sent you an email in January about the business organization. I never got a response back. So maybe we can start with email
Councilman
first.
Lamb, we discussed this.
Okay.
Okay, we have 3 councilmen that
Right.
are on this committee.
Well, I got an email the other day from Mr. Gallagher, including me in it, so I don't know if I'm included in that organization or not. So I don't know if that was a mistake or...
If you get an email,
Right.
the committee, you want to see the agenda for the land use?
No, I'd rather not
Okay.
at this point.
The committee is 3 councilmen that's up
Got
on
it.
here.
I know,
okay?
I wasn't
I'm
clear.
sure you're fully understanding.
I wasn't selected about that. I know, I get that.
Okay.
That's-
So you're not on the committee.
I get that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's, Mr. Rowland, even though we're over the 5 minutes, you had your second question you wanted answered?
It's always, they're always gonna vote no together, but they both collect from us, so I was just curious as to why they always voted no.
Okay.
Be the case. But I'll take that back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. You in the middle. Yes, sir.
Rich Bryn, 216 Minturn Road. I've been up, this is the 4th meeting in a row I've been here, so I just want to start by saying, overall, I think you guys do a great job. I think the mayor's a great guy. He does a great job, all of you. It seems like I'm always up here complaining, and, I've been a Republican since 1980. I turned 18, I was able to vote for Ronald Reagan, and I love the job you guys do, so I want to say that. And then the other thing, I just have a question about the radio thing. I know the other meeting we were talking about widening Route 70 with the infrastructure bill. And everybody heard about the $1.9 trillion out there. Isn't this part of infrastructure? And if it's FCC mandated, then shouldn't it fall under all that money? I mean, I don't know, so I don't want to waste my time. You'll take the ball and run with it if you haven't asked, but I'm sure you have.
It has been
asked
explored,
that
yes, sir.
question.
Yeah.
But to me, that seems like that it should come out of that pot of money since we're all paying for it anyway. Like we're paying for infrastructure, then we're paying for infrastructure again. So.
I hear you.
And then I have a couple questions. We got the postcards for our taxes. And when I had the PPA estimate and appraisal, it gave an estimate of what my new taxes were going to be, but the postcards that we got for 2022 only tells us what our taxes were. It doesn't tell us what they are. I have a copy of it here. So these here, it tells it. It says that the land for 216 Minturn was $172,000. Now it's $162,000. Went down $10,000 in value. The building was up $454,000. Now it's totaling $616,000. But all it says is net property tax bill for 2021 were $10,300. It's not saying what it's going to be. So while we would like to talk about the appraisal value itself, I'd also like to be able to see if I'm being taxed fairly. And then that's another reason why I have this card up here, because you see, as you know, we own the lot next door also. And I've been saying that for the dirt, not the house, because the house is beautiful, and we think it's being taxed fairly if we get the lot value to be taxed fairly also. The overall number would be right. The lot next door, which is 1,000 square feet bigger, went from 115,000 in value to 168,000 in value. Everything's going up in value, but the lot that we've been charged for, that I've been complaining about, actually went down in value $10,000. Doesn't that say from the township's own hired professionals that we've been overcharged on it? So, and it has to do with the VCS zones, the value control sectors. And I've tried to get some information on it. I filled the Oprah request, and Staples was supposed to print this, and they laminated it. So, but you know, I was asking for VCS zones. How did they start? Who made the determination? How was the determination made? And then I got this emails to notify you that your request, there is no such records as exist. The request has been closed. And I got this also from Tom's River of the VCS map. So the records don't exist, but yet Tom's River gave me the map of the records that don't exist. So I filled out another Oprah request. I had to use another email because I was no longer able to access Oprah files on Tom's River with that email. For some reason, I was locked out. So I sent another one stating that I got the map from the tax assessor's office to help them look for the information, and asked specifically for a list of all the VCS zones and the value for each zone. And I've been advised to get an attorney from many people here, but what I'm finding out is that we're going to be hiring a constitutional attorney, not a tax attorney, because there seems to be some constitutional issues with the way these VCS zones have been handed out to some people unfairly, where we're paying more taxes for something we don't have that other people have, and it's just crazy. So we would hope that we could come to terms and figure something out, but all we keep being told is get an attorney. So that's going to happen.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. Mr. Tremolo.
Bob Tremolin, 109 Messenger Street, Tom's River. A couple of weeks ago, one of my neighbors died, 103 years old, and I was going through some of her items, getting ready to get rid of them. I walk downtown almost every day. I go for my 2-3 mile walk, and I go through downtown, and I have some observations, and I just happened to read this article that was written in 2006. The article, I'm just going to pick parts of it out. It says, it goes without saying that it takes money to maintain a building, old or new, but you can't wait until the building is in need of a major overhaul. This is 2006. The Business Improvement District wants to attract more people to the downtown area and along the riverfront. It's a proven fact that towns with historical districts have been drawing an increasing share of the vacationing public, and any money invested by towns in their historical structures more than pays for itself in additional jobs and increased revenue. It's time to stop using a lack of maintenance as an excuse to destroy the history of Tom's River. As I'm walking downtown, it's like a tale of two cities. If you walk down Main Street, on the east side of Main Street, the property owners there, the business owners, that side of the street is beautiful. If you walk on the west side of Main Street, whoever owns those buildings, the doorways are filled with trash, dirty masks, leaves, stuff that have been there all winter. If you come over here on Main Street, south side of Main Street, the business owners, once again, doing a beautiful job. It's great. On the north side of town, on the north side of the street, the buildings are empty, signs up, trash in the doorways again. Something has to be done. If we want to bring people, I love this town of Tom's River. I've been here since 1948. What scares me is I'm seeing parts of the town go down while right across the street is going up. If the Business Improvement District, the council, the people of Toms River want to do something to straighten this town out, the first thing they got to do, if they want to draw people to downtown, is clean up what they got. There's no excuse for the condition of that side of the street or that side of the street. What I'm asking for is, I know a couple of you people here on the Business Improvement District, can you get people together to clean up the buildings or put pressure on some of the people that are letting them go down the tubes, so maybe we can get more people here in Toms River? Like I said, this town has a lot to offer. You know, you have old places that people kind of gave up on, but like, take Williamsburg, Virginia. That was an old town run down. Now it's beautiful. Why can't we do the same here? Why does everybody need something new, build new, add on, when we can clean up what we got, fix it up, and show people what Toms River really has to offer? We need something done downtown to make it a complete downtown. And I'm asking you people, as the council, and again, some of you are on the Business Improvement District, get something together. I'd be glad to help. I love this town. My kids all went to school here, and I want to see it come back. And we have to do something. Make somebody responsible for maintaining their buildings, keeping their buildings neat, and if there's nothing in them, at least keep the front of their buildings clean. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, you in the brown? Yes, you had your hand up also.
Irene Watson, Messenger Street. I just started coming to the meetings a few months ago. The town council, the planning board, the zoning board. I don't come to everyone, but I've come to quite a few of them. The reason I started coming was I looked at the Observer, and there was a picture of the towers. I was like, what is going on here? And a number of people came out to the meetings after that it was posted. The Observer, as you know, is no longer being printed. The very few people, well, I shouldn't say very few, less people are getting the Asbury Park Press. People get their news online. They're looking at Toms River Patch, Toms River Online, the live streaming, which was wonderful. And there's also, which was just brought to my attention, that the Toms River government has a Facebook page. So I started looking at this for the past few weeks, and they have wonderful articles on it. I would like to have the agendas posted on that. How many people, how many residents actually see the agenda? Just the few that are here now, and the very few that come to the zoning and planning board. We should know what's going on in the town. Well, you could say, well, the meetings are publicized. Your fault if you don't come. Let's face it, that's just history of every town council meeting. Very few people come. So just simple thing to post the agenda so people are aware of what is happening. You all ran for office. Our mailboxes were stuffed with your things that you wanted to do. Well, it was really more about bashing your opponent, but what you wanted to do. But now now that you're doing something, we don't hear about it. We don't know until, well, it was in the Observer, front page of like, what is going on? But simple thing, could you post the agenda? I think that would be a very, hopeful thing for residents. Okay.
Thank you, I made a note of that.
And also, there is a text option. When the agenda is posted, you can get a text to let you know that the agenda is out as well.
Where do you get that?
It's through the township website page.
Yes,
I would be
that's
fibbing
exactly right.
you if I told you exactly where it was.
I know that. I started looking at that a few months ago. But people are more apt to use Facebook. It was such an easy thing. It would take
I agree.
2 minutes to post.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Ma'am, you a couple rows back in the black, yes. No, not you, the other woman. I'm sorry, I missed them earlier when I called on your other half.
Michelle Donan, 216 Minturn Road. I wanted to actually touch on what she just said because I'm going to use another visual aid. For 2 months now, we have asked everybody, where this VCS zone came from. And now I have highlighted with the arrows where my home is. Somehow, Bayshore wrapped around to my lagoon property. And for 2 months, no one has been able to even tell us who determined this, when, how, or why. And so she was talking about misinformation. We're having a hard time as well. I looked for the agendas. Last time I had to mention that I was here with visual aids the time before, and my name nor my statements were on there. 2 weeks ago we came, and there were no community comments in the minutes. So the agendas, the minutes, all of the information is very difficult. Obviously, we're going through difficult times. Obviously, nobody expected us to be where we are right now. Ukraine and everything, but it would have been nice, really, really nice for someone to mention the truckers. It's very disappointing in a room full of what I thought were Republicans to not support freedom. People want to hear their voices heard. And when you keep coming and you keep saying things, you get nods and you get maybes and, well, this, that, you know. It's frustrating. We're all frustrated. But when you can't get an answer for 2 months from anyone, why bother coming? Why bother participating? That's all.
Thank you. The gentleman way in the back, the red sweatshirt. Good evening. Just state your name and address for the record, please, into the mic.
Rich Gorman, 334 Tennessee Drive, Brick, New Jersey. A lot of you guys know me. I've met most of you guys. I'm very active in the township in many capacities, and I have background in another major city. But I'm not here to, you know, throw that all around. I'm here about the ice rink.
Just step up
I
to
read
the mic.
this.
Step up to the mic if you would, so people at home can hear you. Thank you.
I thought my voice was more booming than that. So here I am, and I want to talk about the ice rink and the investment that was put into the ice rink before you guys probably sat here, the ongoing investment and the future investment. And I believe that goes to the golf range as well. I don't know the golf range very well, but I do know I've spent I don't know how many nights over the last 7 years at Winding River. My son has been accepted to Montclair State University, and he wants to be an NHL player. He may not be, but he's going to give it his best try. You have 2 NHL players that have come out of that rink due to the investment into the maintenance and operation of that rink. A little bit about the rink. The outdoor rink is a Green Acres funded project. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but that's almost 50 years old now, and it's old, and it takes a lot to maintain that. The new one is almost 20 years old now, and the technology is better inside, but you still have your heat, humidity. It's a year-round project, and it helps all of the children. You may look at it as an expenditure, again, and I see that. It's not. Have you been to the rink?
Yes.
Yeah, the children that are there. My grandson, now I was 7 years with my son. I get another 10 years with my grandson now. He's going to be a Black Hawk as well, so I'm flying the flag with the shirt a little bit. But, you talk about Ukraine and you talk about, so my family is safe here in this town today because of an investment. You might think it's just an ice rink, but the management team there has kept it going through COVID. Many places were shut down, was they not? That team was not down. They were out there making improvements, which are very widespread, very visible to everybody that's there. Makes the quality of life and the quality of your experience that much better. So, being a part of that team, like, I spend a lot of time, like, volunteering down there. There's no component to volunteer, but I help them. If they need help taking out the garbage, I'm there. I'm watching my kid anyway. Why wouldn't I help? Why wouldn't I support something that has given so much to my family and other families here? So my statement is, and it's not a question, it's my statement, and it's an acknowledgement to the hard work that they do and the investment and the hard work that you have to continue. The rinks are going to be expensive to repair. You know that. You've already had the last couple of budgets that have taken that on. And so, you know, the refrigerant's going to change, EPA, everything. There's a lot I know. I'm not going to qualify a lot, but I know a lot. But I guess in closing, yes, I feel for the Ukraine people. And I see in inner cities when there is a lack of recreation, what can happen to the youth. And we don't want that here. Trust me, you see it, you know, you don't want that to happen here. As this city grows, and it is growing, I don't know what your projected percentages of residents are going to be in the next 5 to 7 years, but you know, you can see how well it's growing, especially on Route 9. They're going to have families. They're going to look for something to do, and they're going to gravitate to that because it's got a great reputation, and it's not, you know, it's very hard to earn a reputation like that, let alone maintain it. And I think you guys should go there, take credit in the success there, and share it with the rest of the county. Because also, how many schools, high schools, there's at least 7 high schools from Ocean County that play out of there. So it's not just Toms River that relies on that rink, it's other schools and other communities as well. So for what it's worth, that's my, you know, my opinion on it. And again, I thank you for your leadership in this great city, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Gentleman in the black, yes. Good evening.
Evening. Tom Smith, 520 Whitesville Road. I'm a Jackson resident. I'm adjacent to Block 2, lots 3080 to 3089. I've been complaining and coming to the council for probably 5 years over the issues with this property. If I could, I'd like to just share 3 photographs, and then I have 2 questions. If that's possible.
If you want to hand them to the clerk, if you would, please. Thanks. Well, while he's distributing them, what are your questions? We'll try to answer.
I have 3 photographs I want to share. They are public, you know, aerials, Google Earth, and
Right.
near maps. So these are not photos that I went and took. These are in the public record. I moved to my residence 1989. The owner of this property predates that, going, I guess, approximately 50 years back. The first photograph represents what this site was like for the first 25 years that I lived there, up to about 2017, 2018. There's Whitesville Road in the front, train tracks. The back of the building did not have a lot or any parking lot behind it. There was a little grass area. And that was that business for 25 years or so. The second page I want to show you is from 2018, and I just wanted to show you what I've been complaining about. You can see you measure on the aerial, it's about 14,000 square feet were cleared, several thousand yards of fill. You can see that fill does not look like clean fill, would be my assessment. You know, with vehicles, fill dumped all over the place and the clearing. And it's gotten larger. I think the most recent one I have here is 2021. The clearing goes even farther back. So the reason I'm here is this was just in front of the planning board last week. And what I don't understand is the planner came in for this client and said, we have a minor site plan we want approved for the existing conditions. And the planner actually said, this is the condition of this site for the last 40 years plus. Okay? So I got up with a whole series of photographs and refuted that. And my two questions are, and Mr. Roberts were there, and I'm hoping Mr. Sikosi could answer this, because when I asked again about, this is Pinelands, there was no Pinelands approval, over 14,000 square feet, why, you know, the Soil Conservation Commission, there should have been a lot of approvals for this development. And this planner came in and said, our minor site plan doesn't include any site development. Well, it's pretty obvious it does, and a lot of questionable use back there. And what you said in the meeting was, you put the hand up and said, we're not looking at that now. And then they quickly voted unanimously to approve bulk storage in this existing cleared area that had no approvals. There's wetlands there. Pinelands Commission, I've contacted them multiple times. There were no Pinelands approvals for this. My understanding is the Pinelands Commission would come in and verify the wetlands delineation, because I don't even know who did the wetlands delineation. There's a 175-foot buffer for that. So the two questions are, how did the planning board just approve a minor site plan with all of the upfront things missing and just completely ignore the development? And my second question is, honestly, what can I do as an affected property owner when a planner comes in and gives testimony that is blatantly false and refuted? Because one of the other things he said is, well, Mr. Smith lives in this industrial zone and he's the only person. Like, I'm somewhere in my house as a holdout surrounded by an industry. The entire west side of Whitesville Road, there's 13 residents there in this zone. So when a planner comes in and makes blatant false misrepresentations to the planner or the zoning board, and who do I complain to about that? Because he shouldn't even be in there in front of the board if he's going to give that kind of testimony.
I would certainly think if he was giving testimony under oath, which that's normally done with the planning board, it'd be an ethics violation. I would contact maybe Mr. Amoruso to get in touch with, for the proper chain
Right,
for an ethics issue with that
There are
testimony.
the recorded
Council
meetings.
President,
One second.
I can help answer these questions because I was at the meeting last week. This property is very unique, and that building and part of the land, a very little bit of that land straddles Toms River, and everything else is in Jackson Township. So we have no say over anything else, the frontage, anything. So the applicant came in front of the planning board for a fenced-in area for parking cars in the rear of the building, the southwest. So according to our lawyer, we were only allowed to focus in on the property that belongs to Toms River. We have no say in what businesses are there, what comes in and out of there, only that little piece of land. And I tried to give you an out. I asked you a question, what kind of cars did they have back there? Because they did testify that there was no derelicts or junk cars there. But
I can't access that property to know.
Pardon?
I can't access their property to know that.
Either
That's not a
can I,
question for
but
me.
you
That's a
have,
question for an inspector.
you had many pictures, and you
area.
could have testified
And here's
to
the other,
that.
can I just point out one other thing? In the photograph, the township line goes out of the corner of the building out this way. All of this development and fill, and it's probably 4,000 yards of fill that was dumped back here, and there's all kinds of, this is all Toms River, right from the corner of the building back. It's not a small piece. It's where all of this fill and development happened. That's why I came here, because they go to Jackson, and Jackson issues them a violation, and they're like, oh, no, it's in Toms River.
Yeah.
And they were, this is going on 5-6 years.
No, I know you've been here before, and code enforcement's been out there, but I'm going to defer to our
But I
township
wanted to show
attorney.
this to you because it is in Toms River, this whole big back area, and how it got approved for bulk storage, which I don't even know what the definition is. Does that mean piles of material? Because all these contractors have been dumping back here for years and then covering it up.
Okay. I'm going to ask our township attorney to weigh in.
And I really wanted to get, this is my opportunity because they're going to have a resolution at the next meeting and just.
So if I could, Mr. First of all, the governing body, the council, has no control over what the planning board does or doesn't do. We cannot interfere in that process. It'd be inappropriate for the council to try to do any investigation of what they did or anything like that. If you believe their decision was improper and incorrect, the remedy to that is to file a complaint against the planning board in the Superior Court, and the judge would review the determination that the planning board made to determine if it was proper and legal under the law. So that's really your remedy, would be to go to Superior Court. If they've already voted, it sounds like they did.
Correct.
Then when the resolution gets adopted and published, you have 45 days to file an appeal in the Superior Court for the judge to review that decision.
Correct, okay. And then as far as the planner, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I watched it in Jackson and then I watched it here. Just blatant misrepresentations of the facts, that, you know, none of this was new and things like that.
Again, your remedy would be in the court, and you would raise those issues before the judge with the transcript of the hearing where you tried to raise it and they didn't either.
Well, I
give you the-
appreciate it, because you know I've been in here multiple times, but I really wanted to show you what I'm complaining about. I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem.
No problem. Thank you very much,
Thanks.
sir. Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none?
Seeing none, I motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to go to executive session.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk? Councilman Roderick?
Yes. I cannot participate in the executive session, correct?
Correct.
Councilman Lamb? Or
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances to discuss matters requiring confidentiality and/or of a privileged nature, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean and State of New Jersey as follows. The Township Council will now conduct a private executive session. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed and/or acted upon is as follows. Matters of personnel, anticipated litigation, matters of litigation, attorney-client privilege, settlement of claim, land acquisitions, contract negotiations. The following specific items to be discussed and/or acted upon are as follows. Executive session meetings, January 18th, special meeting, and personnel issues, Township Clerk's Office. It is anticipated that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Council that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality.
They moved the parade away. She's at the meeting now. I'm away next week.
Wow, that was not really helpful. Yeah, sure, no, we're not.
That was more. Those are the new kids that don't know who he is anymore. Then he always beats up overseas. Every day.
Tony Anthony Lobo, he put himself on the calendar for it, so I think it's probably the guy you should see more. So they'll see. If not, I'll be around. Very good. More than likely, he'll jump on it. Very good. All right, man? I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, sir. All right, cool. Take care, man.
Small world. Well, when you talk to an excellent dog, I've heard some things about you.
Yeah, well, not yet. It's still recording, and I can't do anything until they're done. I will come in here and do, just get, second to close the meeting, first, second bank, second to close, and then I can cut it down. And they do have to do that. Nobody sits down, they just walk in and stand here too. So this has to stay on.
Test, 1, 2, 3.
That has to stay on. I'll get rid of this. I'll get rid of later. This goes to me.
3. Motion to go back into public session. All in favor? Aye. All right. Motion to adopt the minutes of January 18th, 2022 special meeting.
Motion to adopt the minutes? Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to close the meeting? Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Four. Yeah. Meeting adjourned at 8:54 PM.